Heritage Community Foundation. Christian, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Nice to be seen.
It's twice this week. I want to thank you once again for lending us your office space. That was fantastic.
Well, it looked really good. I thought your election coverage was insightful. You had some good guests on. I was glad to, supply you with a venue that was warm and had internet access.
Yeah, it was great.
Better than the Diamond. I mean, that was a little... Well, got a little chilly that night.
Yeah, but the backdrop was...
The backdrop was gorgeous. I will give you that.
But the backdrop you provided was very
perfectly
nice.
adequate, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And we had... Yeah, you're right. We had a lot of great guests and made it very convenient, the location. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I did. You're not the only one who complained about the lighting of the outside the building, though.
Oh, really?
I had somebody who complained that...
I wasn't complaining.
Well, I mean, no, it was good complaining. I'm not saying it wasn't wrong. But somebody else was... Andy Walker, who used to be with the city of Meadville, was like, I almost turned my ankle in your yard the other day because there's no light on the outside.
Well, and in defense of you, a lot of that block
is really
dark. Yeah. So
we got tagged with graffiti a few months ago, and they were like, "How could this happen?" I'm like, "Well, it's completely shaded. Like, there's no."
Yeah, I stepped out a couple times just to make sure people kind of saw or was kind of just seeing what was going on, and I was looking up and down the block, and it was, So it's not just you, but
motion lights are on the agenda now.
Well, it's just you could even go some nice uplighting, and
we got to do something.
We'll figure it out. So how are you?
I'm doing well.
It's that month of giving thanks, and
it is. We're doing we're doing 2 last-minute appeals, our Thanksgiving and Christmas appeal to raise unrestricted dollars and raise money for our Titusville Fund. And so we're getting those mailings out soon. This is the money that we use just to address the most pressing needs in the community as we know them, to help projects that people need that last dollar support for, and hopefully, and all these monies are endowed in our unrestricted fund and our Titusville Fund. So, I mean, it's all money that goes into the endowment, has the opportunity to build over time that we just draw a percentage off each year. So that's money that will have impact long into the future.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a way to kind of keep, your legacy and, maybe something that you're very supportive of going for, years, if not generations from now.
I keep throwing around an idea in my head of encouraging people to tell their story through philanthropy. What is it that's important to you? What do you value? What kinds of things are, programs and services that you want to see continue?
Do you think people realize... I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you.
No, you're good.
No. Do you think people realize when they're involved in some programs around here that it was only through giving from generations ago?
I really don't know. So, when you run an agency or you work at a nonprofit, you kind of learn what all the funding streams are, and in a lot of cases, it's state and federal funding. It's United Way dollars that people are giving every year. And very often, it's money that people gave, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, or even longer. I mean, we've got money that had its origin in the oil boom in Titusville that has slowly trickled down to us to manage. And, what started out as maybe $5,000 decades ago is now a more significant amount of money, and that does have an impact. And you've also got
so they want to give right now.
I'll put
Good
that
job.
away.
It's a telethon,
right?
Call Christian right now and give.
And you've also got family philanthropy, where you've had people who made money here whose families have created trusts, and the first generation was really involved, second generation was kind of involved, and now the third generation has moved away. And so in some cases, what we're seeing is money that, organizations tended to rely upon that now has dried up a little bit. And I know you've seen that with organizations with which you're involved. And so that's one of the things that we kind of want to fight against a little bit, is to say to those people, family philanthropy is great. There are things that you can do with that you can give your children and grandchildren the opportunity to give out money, but you also made that money here. Is there a way that we can structure something so that a percentage of that money continues to stay here in perpetuity, so that we don't have to worry about, 3 or 4 generations down the line, there's no kids living here,
Yeah.
no grandkids, no great-grandkids, and they don't have the connection to the region that, the parents did, who really, I think, if they had thought about it, would have said, oh, yeah, we need to put X number of dollars aside for Titusville or for Meadville or for Cambridge Springs, because that's where we made our money.
Yeah. I always think of churches and, the endowments that they're kind of living
Yeah.
off of right now. And
A lot of them, yeah. So, I mean, it's it's a struggle, but if you really feel strongly about an organization, about their mission, and you've been blessed to have a little bit more than your neighbor does, maybe, I think it makes sense to put part of that away in perpetuity.
now, do you ever think, boy, here's an organization, or here's an organization. I'm surprised something hasn't been set up for them or for this program, because it's popular or it's well known, but
Well, first of all, you asked me if I ever think, and that's rare.
no, you're always. I don't think I've ever run into you where you're not thinking or working on something.
But no, you're right. I mean, there's, last year or the year before, I was meeting with a donor, and we had a discussion specific to arts funding, which you would think that there's tons of arts funding out there. You would think that, if you want to do a theater program or a painting program or something, that, there must be something. We've got 2 council on the arts in the county, and, the Erie Arts and Culture helps fund things. There's not a lot of money for arts funding. And so when this donor came to me and said, hey, I want to put some money towards arts funding, I'm like, great, this is an opportunity. I mean, this is something that we can build upon. And so that we had, we got money for conservation funding from someone not long ago as well. That was from the Stainbrook family, and that was really exciting because we had money that was more for more general purposes, but when you have money that we can funnel to like a specific sector, it really does help. So, if there's somebody out there who's like, oh, well, I want to do this kind of thing, or I want to build on the arts funding, there's so many opportunities to do the thing that you think is most important. And healthcare tends to find state and federal dollars. Like I said, like things like the arts are a little more of a struggle. And and even during Crawford Gives, we had a lot of organizations who gave money, or a lot of people who gave money to the animal shelters and things like that. That's an area that we really don't have funding specific to. So
Yeah.
there's so many opportunities, and I'm always a sounding board for people. Just recently we got money through an estate that somebody had planned. Thank you to our lovely judge, Mark Stevens, who, when he was in private practice, I think Judge Stevens.
Yes, very well.
When he was in private practice, he worked with a couple who planned a really 6-figure gift to us, and it's going to be an animal sciences scholarship. So if a student's going into something like veterinary medicine or probably some biology related to animal science, there's going to be some opportunities to give out that money. And so, again, I never would have thought, oh, yeah, an animal sciences scholarship, that's going to be a need. I've already had 4 people reach out to us.
Oh, that's great.
About the money. And I'm like, we don't even have it ready yet. We have the money.
Yeah.
But we don't start giving scholarships out until next year. We don't put the applications online until January. But there's clearly a need and an interest. So
That's fantastic.
yeah. So really whatever if you think you have an idea about your charitable giving and you're like, oh, maybe that's a little off the wall, it's probably not that off the wall. And you should just, give me a call and ask me about it.
Well, cemeteries come to mind. You've been doing a lot of, and it brings a lot of attention to it because I don't think people realize it. And when you start talking about it, and you've been doing this for years, but it's like, oh yeah, how do they take care of, plots?
And so many of our cemeteries are neglected, or they get, mowed maybe once or twice a year by a township. And I also had somebody call me a couple weeks ago about a cemetery, and they're like, "Hey, we hear you talk about these things."
Wow.
And they're like, "Okay, well, we don't have a lot of money, but maybe we can start to get something done, and we can at least make sure that like the basic work is being done in some of these areas." And we've been talking to the Historical Society about gathering cemetery records that then they would take care of. And so there's, it really just takes us all together trying to figure out, okay, how do we make this work? And I have these big ideas for how do we honor our forebears, really? I mean, a couple generations out, kind of like I mentioned before, like a couple generations out, people tend to forget, like, oh, great-great-grandpa is, like, in the Union Cemetery in Union Township. And unless you're maybe a genealogy buff or something like that, you're probably not taking it on. But if you have recognized a need, and you have either the time or the money to help take care of that kind of thing, we can give you some guidance and help with creating endowments or whatever it might be.
I think that's a key. I think people should know that it's not like they have to be stressed about coming up with something and then come to you. They can come to you and say, we're thinking this, but we need guidance and help. And that's what you're going to do, is you're going to be with them on that journey to get them to where they like to go.
Yeah. Well, and on the cemetery issue, every few months or so, somebody will be like, who takes care of this cemetery on FYI Crawford County on the Facebook? and it becomes, sometimes it gets a little heated. And it's always like, well, if you're so concerned, why don't you take it on? And really, if you're so concerned, really, maybe you should help take it on. Like, not, I don't mean to say that in a mean way, but not just you. Like, you can help. You can be the person that, like, recruits other people to the cause and gets them, like, excited about something. And these projects, when you have a lot of people working on them, are a little lighter work, I guess.
So, like an example there, what would be a good amount for, like, some seed money to get something started?
It depends. It depends. I mean, it depends on what you want to accomplish. Our minimum for a fully endowed fund is $5,000. So I mean, the threshold is pretty low. People can fund that over 5 years. About $10,000 is going to spin off about $400 every year. So I mean, it's for a cemetery association that's gonna mow your grass maybe once or twice.
But it's a start too.
But it's a
right?
start, and so I mean, and the goal, and we provide all the back office support. So if you're, if you know people who might also want to give, we're sending the thank you letters. We're sending the tax receipts. There's no cost to you to do that. We're managing the money so that it's going to go out for the purpose that you specified every year, no matter what it is. So we try to make it easier, and we don't fundraise for you, but we can give you the advice about how to raise money. And I think that's going to be our educational push for next year, is fundraising basics for nonprofits who maybe don't have fundraising, like specific fundraising staff.
We've done some great outreach this year.
We've done,
which we'll have to talk about next month. Kind of recapping the. It's
not just me
season.
today.
I know, boy. Maybe they want to give. So,
your phone lines are open. Call now to give.
You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel. Christian Maher with us here this morning, Crawford Heritage Community Foundation. You've had this call for folks who live here to give, but you also get phone calls from folks who haven't lived here in decades.
Yeah, that cemetery association that I talked to you about, the woman called from, she doesn't live here anymore. Her grandparents are buried here, but she grew up here and has strong feelings. I had somebody else who I met with somebody else this week who was like, I'm getting some information from my uncle's neighbor. Both of them have moved away. They now live in Virginia, but they want to know about what the foundation does and how they could possibly use it to support some things here. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. So yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned this to you last time. We're working with the Meadville Area Rec Complex on their Learn to Skate program. There's a group, there's the Thomas family who is working to raise money to support that Learn to Skate program, to provide support for young people who might not have the money to get involved in that or hockey. And so all the money that we've raised so far for that has been people from outside the area. Well, they grew up here.
Right.
They went to the mark. They learned to skate there. They think that it was a fantastic thing for them, clearly. Yeah. And they want to see that carry on. So yeah, we're, if you want to tell us who your nieces and nephews and grandkids who've moved away, what their addresses are, send them my way, and we'll get them in our mailing list so that we can make sure that we don't lose track of them.
But I'll tell you, when you've talked about this before, these great stories, and again, this goes back to the storytelling part of it. You know, somebody was involved as a kid in a program that was very impactful, something they never forgotten.
Oh, for sure.
And they move away, and they always think back to those times. Maybe they tell their kids or their grandkids about growing up and going through this program, and they think, boy, if there's some way I could keep that going. Well, yeah, here's how you do that.
Well, right. Well, I mean, you've got Bruce on next, and I'm sure that there are young people who grew up doing programs at the YMCA with Bruce, who many of them might remember him fondly. Maybe some not. I don't know. I'm kidding. Everyone remembers Bruce fondly. But they're like, oh yeah, I did all these great things as a kid, and I want to see kids today be able to do those things. Yeah. And how do I accomplish that? Well, give a little money. That'll solve it. So it's those kind of things. I mean, I say I give to a program that one of my grade school teachers runs with my childhood best friend's mom. Oh. They're in their 70s still, and they run an after-school program for, I guess we would call them disadvantaged youth. And it is the most impactful program I've ever seen.
Wow.
And so, I give to my hometown that way. It's because you see these things work, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's the thing I want to support.
Well, again, it's just a matter of picking up the phone and scheduling just to sit down with you and have an initial conversation.
Now is the perfect time. I have plenty of time to take people out to lunch. I'm just sliding into the year end. I'm not doing the, hey, can we circle back after the holidays thing yet? But I do have 17 more vacation days to take by the end of the year. So.
Oh, wow.
But I still have plenty of time for lunch. So
okay.
If people want to grab me for a meal, I'm more than happy to talk to them about what their ideas might be. And again, most of these things are 10, 20 years out. It's laying the groundwork for the future.
Well, just remember, as you're slicing into that turkey on Thanksgiving, and you think, boy, there's a lot to be thankful for.
There's always a lot to be thankful for. I mean, we live here. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
We were just
wonderful natural resources.
We were just talking earlier. There's the Ice House Festival coming up in Conneaut Lake, but fall, summer, fall, even through the winter, Conneaut Lake's beautiful. And then we were at Silver Shores back in March. It was rainy and misty, but we, just looking out the windows and seeing them, it was still gorgeous, even though everything was, that springtime dead look. But it was still beautiful.
But still, I mean, if you saw the sky the other night, was just. It's just a great place to be, I think. So,
Well, invest in it, and this is a great way of doing that. And it starts just with a conversation, a phone call, or lunch, or whatever, and get the ideas going. And then that's when you get into the specifics and put that plan into place. So pretty simple, right?
We like to think so, but it always seems daunting at first.
Yeah. Well, what are you thankful for this year?
So for me, I'm thankful for my family's good health because I went through ill family for a while there, and my mom just went through a week of like just stomach bug, and I was like, oh God, not again. But now she's feeling good again,
Good.
and yeah. So hoping for good health for the foreseeable future for everybody.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Over the year.
Nice seeing you.
Congrats on all the success you've had. And by the way, we did invite Christian to join us Thursday night, but Tuesday night, but Tuesdays are busy. Yoga.
I think I went to yoga, and then there was some sitting on the couch.
Yes, yes.
I need to recharge.
I think we all do this time of year, don't we?
I think, yeah, it's definitely going to be hibernation mode at some point.
Any holiday performances?
No, I don't do anything anymore. I am so lame. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it's all right.
COVID just ruined so many things, and one of them was that I don't sing anymore. So, or at least not publicly.
Not
outside
publicly?
the shower.
We could arrange for you to perform next month, unless you're on vacation, because you got 17 days to burn through.
I keep thinking I've got to convince my friends at the Bright Ideas or maybe Joe Thompson to let me sing with them or something.
Go for it. Thanks, Christian. Good to see you.
Nice to see you.